Saildrone, based in Alameda, California, and Blue Water Autonomy, a newer autonomy-focused shipbuilder, have filed suit against the Navy after losing out on the Medium Unmanned Surface Vessel Program, or MUSV, according to reporting on the litigation. Two American companies that build uncrewed ships have taken the U.S. Navy to court. Retention Checkpoint. 0 o'clock hook. Most newsworthy verified fact. On the surface, it's a contract dispute. Underneath it, the real question is who gets to build the next generation of American warships, and whether the Navy's newest acquisition programs are actually open to the companies best positioned to deliver them. By the end of this video, you'll know what MUSV is supposed to do for the fleet, what Saildrone and Blue Water Autonomy are alleging, where the Navy's position differs from theirs, and what a lawsuit like this can and can't actually change about a contract that's already been awarded. Retention Checkpoint. 030 Resolution T's. Start with what MUSV actually is, because the program explains why this fight matters. The Medium Unmanned Surface Vessel Program sits inside the Navy's Unmanned Maritime Systems Office. It's meant to produce a class of uncrewed ships roughly the size of a large patrol boat, built to carry sensors and electronic warfare gear rather than weapons. The idea, part of what Navy planners call a hybrid fleet, is to extend the sensing range of a carrier strike group or surface action group without putting a crewed hull and the sailors on it at the edge of a contested area. A MUSV can loiter for long stretches, relay what its sensors pick up back to crewed ships, and do it for a fraction of the cost of building and manning a traditional frigate-sized vessel. In 2020, L3 Harris Technologies won an initial Navy contract worth roughly $35 million to design and build a MUSV prototype, and that prototype work fed directly into the follow-on phases of the program now being contested in court. That brings us to the two companies suing the Navy today. Saildrone isn't new to Navy work. The company builds wind and solar-powered surface drones, including its Voyager and Surveyor-class vessels, and it has operated alongside the Navy's Task Force 59 in Bahrain since 2022, part of the Fifth Fleet's push to build a networked picture of the surrounding waters using low-cost, uncrewed platforms. Saildrone's vessels have also supported NOAA ocean data missions, which the company points to as evidence of its track record at sea. Blue Water Autonomy is much younger, founded in 2024 by a team that includes veterans of Saildrone and the Navy's own unmanned systems community. According to reporting at the time, it raised early funding, including backing from General Catalyst, specifically to build larger autonomous vessels capable of longer, more demanding missions than the smaller drones already in service. Neither company was selected in the most recent phase of MUSV contracting, and both have now gone to court over it. Here is where the record gets thinner than either side would like. According to reporting on the litigation, the two companies argue the Navy's evaluation process for this MUSV phase didn't fairly weigh the operational experience their vessels already have at sea, and that the selection favored a traditional shipbuilding approach over the software-driven, iteratively updated autonomy that companies like theirs specialize in. That's their claim, not an established fact, and the distinction matters. The Navy hasn't detailed its evaluation criteria publicly beyond the standard contract announcement, and defense trade press covering the case hasn't published the full award rationale. What this video won't do is guess at internal scoring sheets or invent an account of a selection meeting neither of us was in. What can be said, attributed to the reporting itself, is this. Two companies with real, demonstrated experience building and operating uncrewed vessels for the U.S. Government believed they were passed over in a way that doesn't reflect the merits of their technology, and they're now asking a court to weigh in. What strikes us about this case is that it's really a proxy fight over a bigger question the Pentagon has wrestled with for years. Does the future surface fleet get built by the shipyards that have always built Navy ships, or by the newer software and autonomy companies that grew up outside that system entirely? That tension isn't unique to MUSV. It shows up across the Pentagon's unmanned systems portfolio, from surface vessels to underwater drones. And it's part of why acquisition officials keep talking about wanting more competition from non-traditional defense contractors, even as the actual contract decisions keep going, more often than not, to companies with decades of shipbuilding history behind them. So, does a lawsuit like this actually change anything? Generally, when a company sues over a federal contract award, It isn't asking the court to hand it the contract on the spot. Cases like this can end with a judge ordering the Navy to reevaluate the bids, document its reasoning more thoroughly, or, more rarely, pause work under the awarded contract while the dispute plays out. It's far less common for a court to just overturn an award and hand it to the company that sued. That legal reality matters here. Even if Saildrone and Blue Water Autonomy's claims hold up, the most likely outcome is a forced second look at the process, not an automatic win. RETENTIONCHECKPOINT. Obstacle 2. Legal reality complicates the frame. Here's the part that's genuinely unresolved. As of this recording, the litigation is active, and neither a court ruling nor a detailed Navy rebuttal to the specific allegations has been made public. That's not a gap in this video's research, it's simply where the public record stands right now. Here's what most coverage of these procurement fights avoids saying plainly. If the Navy's own MUSV timeline keeps slipping while its most promising unmanned vessel builders are stuck in litigation instead of building ships, the program loses more than one contract dispute. It loses time. And time is the one thing a hybrid fleet strategy, which depends on getting uncrewed ships to sea in real numbers, can't easily get back. Whether that's the Navy's fault, an unavoidable cost of a rigorous acquisition process, or just how contested federal procurement always looks from the outside is a fair question to sit with. Where do you land on that? Does a legal challenge like this one strengthen the acquisition process by forcing more transparency, or does it just slow down a program the fleet actually needs? To be clear about what's confirmed and what isn't, it's confirmed, per reporting on the case, that Saildrone and Blue Water Autonomy filed suit against the Navy after being turned down for this MUSV phase. It's confirmed that both companies have prior, publicly documented work-building uncrewed maritime vessels. It's not yet confirmed, in the sources reviewed for this video, exactly which company or companies the Navy selected instead, what the Navy's full internal justification was, or how a court will ultimately rule. Anything beyond those confirmed points in any coverage of this story should be read as analysis or allegation, not settled fact. What happens next will likely unfold over months, not days, which is typical for federal contract litigation. If you want to track it yourself, watch the Navy's own public contract announcements, court filings in the case once they're publicly accessible, and the specialist outlets that cover naval acquisition closely. This is one small dispute inside a much larger story the Navy has been telling for years about building a fleet that mixes crewed warships with uncrewed vessels at scale. Whether that mix gets built by the traditional shipyards or by companies like Saildrone and Blue Water Autonomy is still, very much, an open question.